Welcome to the philosophy of holding things lightly. It's just something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and with what I'm currently going through, it's really important that I hold things lightly at the moment, and I will explain in a minute. Welcome to Stillness in the Storms. I'm Stephen Webb, your host, and I'm just basically going to tell you some of the things I'm going through at the moment and why I really tend to stay happier the most simply because I hold things lightly. Now, whether that's my spiritual journey, whether it's a touching of Buddhism, my politics, or the 500-mile journey that I'm about to set off on, I don't hold it so tightly that it's rigid, that just to take the metaphor really far, that I'm just really grabbing hold of it so much that my hands are hurting. And I love the metaphor of holding the drumsticks just right. If you hold them too loosely, they fall when there's no music. You hold them too tightly and the music's rigid and it's no longer a joy to listen to. Just hold them enough that the music can flow through you. And I think you've got to do that with life to a degree. The body knows what it's doing, the mind knows what it's doing, the subconscious mind somewhat has your back, and the universe, I believe, in that instance has your back as well. The problem is we try to get involved and we try to control everything. We try to control the world outside and we try to control the world inside, and it becomes a hot mess within a minute. So in life, it's about finding that balance between attachment and detachment. And the main points in which with this comes up is, in love and in dreams and goals, even in my frustrations and anger. Just the whole philosophy of these points and these areas apply to whether it is love and dreams, your anger, your frustrations. It doesn't really matter what aspect or what you're thinking about, but if you hold it too tightly. And love's a perfect analogy. If you hold love too tightly, it's like if you love a butterfly, you want to let it go and fly. If you hold it way too tight, you kill it. And that's whether that's romantic love or whether it's just acceptance. And it's the same as when even we try to love ourselves, just trying to be so rigid. I need to love myself. I've got to love myself. At all costs, I've got to love everything about me. Doesn't it become a chore? The same as our goals. If we really lean into our goals and we've got to get our goals at all costs, we'll end up not liking them. We'll end up being so attached to the outcome and we won't enjoy the journey. And as I like analogies, it's like climbing a mountain and you're attached to the route. Then halfway up the route changes and you're like, nope, can't do that. I've planned this and it's got to be this way. Well, you're not going to enjoy it that much. But that's what we do with life. We try to control the narrative inside. We try to control every aspect of it. We try to control everybody else. We try to control the government and everything like that. Okay, technically the government do throw us a few little bits that make us think that we can control them, but not really. We get a vote every 4 years and we can nudge the direction, but it's very, very slight. But that's the same with us. We can nudge the direction of where the donuts go on our body, but we can't decide where, And it's just like the bow or the archer. They can spend months and months and months and years practicing and practicing and practicing. They're not in control. Once they leave go of that bow and the arrow flies, they're no longer in control. They're at the mercy of everything they've come to that point. They're then at the mercy of the weather, the bow, all the other things. At that point, they got to let go and pray for the best. And not even pray, you just pray. You prepare enough that you don't have to pray. But sometimes you've got to pray. Although I'm not religious, pray is just hopeful and it's having faith, I suppose. That's what prayers is. And it's a way of contemplation. But our frustrations, hold them lightly. Laugh at them, smile with them a little bit. And the same as the anger and the benefits of holding these lightly, just it serves and nourishes us rather than prevents us and drags us down. Then we have the flexibility of growth rather than the dangers of the extremes. You let go of everything, and you hear it in the philosophy and memes all the time. Let it go, just let it go. That famous old song from, was it Frozen, which I've never seen. I've still not seen the film Frozen. And I'm going to be determined. I met somebody the other day and they haven't watched it either. So I'm trying to be the determined one that I get through my whole life without watching the film Frozen. And I haven't watched Lord of the Rings either. And I've never finished Game of Thrones. So you're in good company if you haven't done any of those things. But go and watch Frozen, just so I can say I'm the only one that hasn't. But the film, let it go, just let everything go. How do you let go of something you care about? But the other side, don't hold on to it too much, that whatever you care about, you end up killing it, or whatever you care about ends up an obsession. If you literally let go of everything, it can lead to despair, nihilism, and a feeling of just a wasted life. You're not believing in anything at that point. But then if you're holding things too tightly, it leads to rigidity, and it leads to missing the beauty of changing in the world, where just finding that balance. Just if you go for a walk and you're expecting a certain kind of weather and you're expecting to see certain butterflies or flowers and you don't see them, you're disappointed. Just when we hold things loosely, we allow life to be what it is. And when we allow life to be what it is, we start seeing the beauty in it. And I said I was going to share with you why this is really on my mind at the moment. So I'm lying awake 4 o'clock in the morning, most mornings at the moment, because some crazy idea of mine, about 12 months ago, I decided I wanted to go back and do John O'Groats to Land's End in my electric wheelchair. I never got to complete it last time in 2005. So I wanted to go back and do it. And I went and spoke to my friend Clive. And I said, I want your honesty. Should I go back and do John O'Groats to Land's End next year? And he goes, no, I got something better. He said, I've got a map of Cornwall. It's 500 miles all the way around the outside, including the Devon and Cornwall border. And it's accessible routes. It's a road all the way around. Do you want to do it? I was like, oh my God, yes. So 1st of September, marking 33 years since I broke my neck, I'm going to be setting off in my electric wheelchair. It's going to take me 20 to 28 days, 25 to 30 miles a day in my electric wheelchair. I know. Yeah, I know. Talk about do crazy things. And we're planning the route and we're doing all these things, and we've got some real great people backing us, and we're going to raise money for the air ambulance to save lives. But if I hold it so tightly that I have to raise £20,000, I have to complete it by this day, and I have to do so many miles a day, I'm not going to enjoy it. I probably won't complete it, because I will ground myself down that much, because it won't work like that. The universe has other plans. The universe will literally throw so many things in the way that, yeah, it just doesn't work like that. And that's just the external world. Think about the internal world, all those conflicts and the fighting internally and all the different voices. You can do it faster, slow down. You need to make sure you raise this money a day. Who is it sponsoring? Who are you meeting? All those other things. All of those things are coming out at 4 o'clock in the morning. My mind is like, yeah, get out of bed, do all these things. I'm like, yeah, you do know I'm paralyzed, and you do know it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And the mind's like, no, I don't know what time is. Get up, do it. So I was 5 o'clock this morning, sat up in bed, watching a Zoom call with the Aura app, where all the teachers get together and they discuss the changes. It was a good call. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you want to know, my meditations are on Insight Timer or Aura if you want to go to them. It's also on the free Inner Peace Meditations podcast if you want to listen to that as well. But I'll put all the links below. But ultimately, if I get really annoyed that I'm waking up that time, instead of going, okay, mine, yeah, you got me. There is a few things, I'll take a list. I would end up just poorly, running myself down, running myself ragged. So yeah, that's why I'm just, and it's the same with your spiritual journey. If you hold your spiritual journey so tightly that I've got to be enlightened and I've got to be peaceful, every person I come across, I've got to, hello, my friend, and deep bow to them, and I've got to respect, and I've got to honor them, and I've got to love them and accept them for everything they are. They are my brother, I am their brother, and all that. That's exhausting. But if you try your best and just go, do you know what? I'm trying to show up. I'm trying to be open. I'm trying to be loving and accepting. It's easier with other people. It's not so easy with our own voices inside. I say it's harder to love and accept ourselves. And I don't try to love myself. I just try to accept myself for being the 100% human I am. I can't be anything else. And humans are deeply, awesomely flawed and brilliant and all these other things. So I'm just accepting the fact that I'm human. Accepting the fact that I'm trying to hold things in a way that I'm trying to be in control of everything. And yet I know I'm not in control of everything. And same as this podcast. If I was in so control that this wasn't just a rambling podcast, I would be re-recording, I'd be restarting, I'd be doing all those things. Does it matter? You're still here watching, right? Well, if you're on YouTube, you're watching. You're still here listening if you're listening to it on the Stillness in the Storms. So what is the takeaway? The takeaway is just hold things loosely, but not so loose that you drop it. If you're having a bad day or having a rough day or an unhealthy day, or you're making some choices that are not optimum, just go, okay, all right. Take a deep breath and take a step back and look at it and smile. Because, the universe is just doing what it does. And you're just a small part, but an awesome part of it. And when we do start just taking things loosely, we end up smiling more. We end up accepting ourselves more and accepting others a little bit more. And isn't accepting things and just holding things with a balance way better than trying to do the other things? And I think this is what the Buddhism say about, they don't say about give away everything to a point where you've got nothing in life. The Buddha tried that. He was walking down the road one day, and I think the story goes, if you meet me, kill me. Which he was talking about me, the ego, the I. So he was trying to get rid of the I so much, and to the point where even the I could never be enlightened, because the I is just a story. It's just a thing that's coming up in any given moment. So that thing that has to come up in the moment to keep you alive, to want food, to do all these other things, hold it lightly, because it'll be gone in another moment. It'll be gone before you even know it. Before you realize it's there, it's gone and moved on. When you realize the thought's like, oh, here's the next one. And that's the reality of life. By the time you're aware of the thought, it's already happened. You didn't do it. You just become aware of it. It had already risen at that point. Everything you ever see or everything you ever feel, by the time it's there, it's already happened. It's just whether you choose to stretch it out a little bit and keep it there for a minute. And like I say, just letting go of everything to a point that the Buddha tried, it leads to nihilism. It leads to a feeling of lost and a risk of wasting your life by not believing in anything. And that feeling of lost and that feeling of risk of wasting your life is probably a lot worse feeling than trying to hold on. Just by not believing in anything, it makes it difficult to even live your life. And again, holding on too tightly leads to a rigidity that you're missing the beauty of the changing world, the finding the balance. It's just not realistic to let go of everything, and it's not healthy to cling on to everything. The middle ground allows your life to be an engagement without overwhelming. And I love the analogy of, you imagine a river and the banks either side are a metre tall or so, and they're just outside of your reach. And the water's flowing at a nice, calm, peaceful way. Where the flow of the water is life, that's movement, that's time. And the banks either side is what's happening to you. They're your experiences. And you're in a boat in the middle, and you've got a couple of oars, and every now and again you can look towards the bank and you can experience and enjoy it as you go by. But it's going to keep moving. You can't stop the boat. We try to grab hold of the boat when we fall in love or when we go to a wonderful concert, and we're like, no, keep it. And you end up stretching your arms out so much that you're dragging the bank and you're dragging the boat, and it becomes not enjoyable. Just enjoy the experience while it's lasting, because the water's going to keep flowing. And the same as when the bank's an experience that you don't want. And then we try to speed up the boat. We're trying to row it as fast as we can because we want to get out of there. We want to move on. Or we're wallowing in it, and we're going, oh, I don't want to stay here. I don't want to see this. Cover my eyes. Just leave me go. Just tell me when it's over. It's going to be over just as quick as it's over. You're not stuck in it. And I think that's the joy of just recognizing that you can have everything in balance. And I think that's my secret to life, is that I get frustrated. I get annoyed. I've got carers, 24-hour care. They literally have to wipe my bum. They have to shower me. They have to make my toast. I talk about making toast a lot because there's like 7 billion ways of making toast, which every person on earth would make toast a different way. And they very often don't make it the way I want it, but I've had to let go and go, do you know what? That's pretty good. It's not bad. Okay, sometimes it's terrible. But every carer does things slightly different because they're different people. They see the world differently. You can sit next to someone and say, hey, look at that train going by. And both of you will recall different parts of the train. Both of you see it from a different angle. And that's the same as the whole of life. Every person has a different way of doing things. And when you've got people that clean your home, literally do everything for you, they're your arms and legs, they will do things different to you. And that's okay. That's okay. And I've learned to let go of that to some degree, because I'm not in control of it. I can influence them, I can nudge them in the right direction, but I'm not really in control of it. It will be what it is. And also they have something to bring to the table as well. Everyone has something to bring to the table. So they might have better ways of doing some things. So if I'm so rigidly stuck into mine is the only way, I might miss better ways. I will be honest, it doesn't happen very often. I say that jokingly, but there's a little bit of honesty, there's a little bit of truth in every joke. And I think, but that's fair enough. It's okay. As long as we don't grab hold of it. And going back to that analogy, yeah, there might be a big waterfall coming up, and boat's gonna go over it and everything's gonna go wrong. Well, I tell you what, the boat's gonna get there anyway. You ain't gonna stop it. The idea is to hold the boat loosely so that hopefully you stay in the boat. Okay, the analogy's taking a bad turn now, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And our expectations of future experiences, you're not in control of what comes up. You can influence it, just like the archer and the bow and the arrow. You can somewhat plan. I can somewhat plan this 500 miles. I've worked out the days. I worked out what days I'm going to be doing. I worked out some of the days who's coming with me and what we're doing, who I'm meeting. But, I'm not in control of the weather. I'm not in control of the traffic. I'm not in control of the potholes. Do you call them potholes in the States? They're not really potholes here anymore. There are so many government cuts. They're more like swimming pools on a rainy day and, sinkholes on a dry day. I'm going to have to avoid them at all cost. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to that solitude and getting out. And hopefully I'll do some podcasts while I'm on the road. So it's been a lot of organising, and that's why I've been a little quiet on the podcasting front. So I'm just going to say, look, I love you and thank you for sticking by me. Thank you to all of you that are still donating and treating me to a coffee. You are awesome. During September, anybody treats me to a coffee or anybody donates, I'm going to give that to the air ambulance. Just thank you for holding me loosely and not holding me to account for everything. But thank you for not dropping me completely. Thank you for listening to the podcast and being there. So to recap, it's pretty simple. Have a balanced life. Hold things gently, but don't leave them go completely. The let it go is bollocks. And the hold on to stuff is equally bollocks. Sorry to swear. Hopefully there's no kids listening. But yeah. So that's what I'm doing now. That's what's on my mind. The philosophy of holding things lightly. Look, thank you to all of you. If you want to donate, if you want to get involved, you want to message me, go to stephenwebb.uk. That's spelled with a V and just stephenwebb.uk. You are awesome. I want you to have an amazing week. And don't forget to check out my other podcast, Inner Peace Meditations. And if you want to find out about my challenge, go to thecornwall500.com. You'll find out all about it there. It's going to be epic. It's going to be awesome. And I just can't wait. I think. Maybe. Let's see. 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. Take care, guys. And I love you.